I'm Christina, this is Creations by Christy, and welcome to the channel. So, as some of you know, Pinterest has been around since like the early 2010s. And as an elder millennial, I've taken full advantage of having a Pinterest. And courtesy of that, I probably have thousands of pins and boards dedicated to all sorts of different things. But I want to use this YouTube channel to start going through those. And what I'm going to do is basically go through my sewing and crochet pins first because that's what Creations by Christy handles. Even though I have all sorts of different hiking and cooking and all that kind of stuff on there too, those things maybe down the road, maybe a different channel, we'll get into those. But for now, for Creations by Christy, we are going to do my crochet and my sewing pins. Now, with that being said, y'all have to give me a little credit. Because Pinterest came out back in the 2010s time, some of these pins are potentially going to be cringe. But at some point, I really wanted to do them. Okay, so that's why we're doing them. So, I try to think of the easiest and best way to get this taken care of. And the best way to kind of get myself to make them. And the best thing I could think of was using a spinning wheel app. And so that's what we're going to do. So, here is our first thing we're going to be making. Okay, so a doily. You know, honestly, it's probably something I would have never actually got around to making, so I'm kind of happy I'm doing this way. Yarn Inspirations, of course, is who has Red Heart Yarn and all sorts of others. Their website is full of free patterns too, so I will link that down below. I will also link any patterns that I use down below so that if you decide you want to make it, you have that ability to as well. But yeah, so Yarn Inspirations, Mediterranean Surf Doily. Let's get some yarn picked. Oh, another thing, if you can't tell, courtesy of the background, I have plenty. Another thing with going through all of my Pinterest pins that I have as a goal is to not buy any new yarn if I can avoid it at all cost. Also, not have to buy any fabric when I start doing a sewing project. So let me go ahead, let me check the pattern out, and then we will get some yarn picked. So give me one sec. All right, got you turned around here in my lovely shelving unit. Of course, I know there's plenty of people who have way more than I do, but like I said, hopefully no new. So according to this pattern, we need to use a number 3 thread. I do have a bin. All of my yarn is separated out. This is cotton. Thread typically is a cotton, but this is all of my 3-weight fingerling threads, things like that. Now, I don't know if I have a specific number 3 thread in here. I know I have number 10, which is this ultra fine that you typically see with doilies. A number 3 though is going to be more of this. So what I might do, it says you need 2 balls. What I might do is use both this red and this black, and then see if I, maybe do part of it in red and then the rest of it in black, just so I don't risk running out midway through something, and go from there. So let's go ahead and grab those. All right, so I got my pattern. I went ahead and printed it out. I prefer printed out patterns when all possible, so I don't have to sit on a device to look at it. I got my pattern, got my yarn. It says it needs a 3.5 millimeter or an E hook. So I will go ahead and get that found in all of my stash of hooks around here. Hopefully that's not an issue. And yeah, let's get to making the Yarnspirations Mediterranean Surf Doily. All right, so let's go ahead. I think what we're going to do is start with, the black, and then we're going to go ahead and probably do the first few rounds in black and then finish off with the red. If it starts looking like the black is not going to be enough. So like I said, I have my E 3.5 millimeter, which is what the pattern calls for. Since this isn't a true like number 3 cotton thread, the size that it ends up with is probably going to be a little bit off. I'm totally fine with that. Potentially it's just going to be bigger. Not that big of a deal. So yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. So of course start with the slip stitch, and this pattern starts with a chain 8. I'm not going to verbalize the whole pattern, clearly, because I want to respect Yarnspirations. And, like I've said, it is a free pattern on their website. I will link it below. You can totally follow along that way. But let's get going. Alright, there's my 23. I'm going to join it with the slip stitch and top of the chain 3. You know what? This is using a chain 3 as a double crochet. I don't like doing that, so I'm going to go ahead and put 24 stitches in because the end stitch count is expecting to be 24. So I'm going to go ahead and put 24 stitches in. And then I am just going to slip stitch into the top of my first double. Round 2, since I read round 3, is chain 4, double crochet in the next chain 1, and repeat. Goodness. I really didn't think about myself when I decided to pick black thread, basically, as the thread to use for this project. Or the fact that I don't have my one light to really help light this up to see. So that's my bad to myself, and I'm sure I will regret that later. So in the end, we should end up with 24 double crochets and chain ones. So since I added that extra double crochet in that first round, I'm just going to do a double check on my count just to make sure that I'm good. All right. And there we have our second. So, like I said, sorry I didn't really think about it when I picked black. But there is our first and second rows. All right. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead. I am gonna take a break. I'm gonna go and make dinner and let the dogs out, and then pick back up where we were and start on row 3. And maybe go ahead and sit on the couch. I'm hoping that that kind of helps with some of the lighting, because I can use my overhead light that I use there. The black yarn, man, like I said, I really wish I would have thought that one out, but we're already in it. So, like I said, I think I'm going to do the first half of it in black, and then we'll switch to red, which should be a lot easier. So, all right, I'm going to go do some chores, and then we will get right back to it. So I just finished row 4, and it is starting to get wavy. I'm hoping that the more I go and then blocking it in the end will help with that. But yeah, let's keep going. Hey everybody. So next day, good morning. In between work and stuff, because I do have a big girl job, I figured I'm going to work on the doily. I did make it to row 6 last night before I gave up. So let me go ahead and switch the camera around. I'll show you where that is. Yeah, so made it to row 6, which thankfully some of the curling has started to chill. So I'm kind of hoping that as we keep going, it gets better and better. But yeah. Yeah, so, like I said, I'm going to work on it through the time I have with work today. you know, and then like when I'm on lunch and then when I get out of work, maybe we'll get lucky and get the majority of it done today, if not all of it. That would be amazing if this evening I could get it finished. But let's go ahead and get back to working on it. I really didn't help myself picking black yarn at all. It's going to be beautiful when it's done though. So I guess I have to keep reminding myself that we're looking forward to that. So we've made it halfway through, just finished row 8. There's 16 rows in the whole pattern. We do have row 9 and 10 are new stitches, and then it actually goes through repeats the rest of the way. So getting done tonight, still very possible. I'm off work, just watching a little YouTube. So let's see, let's keep going. I am just going to do a round 2, round 3 repeat, because round 10 is just a repeat of round 3. And it's just gonna change, it's just gonna leave out the one pretty stitch. This is the only row that uses this stitch. And like I said, the rest of the pattern repeats rows. So I'm going to do a round 2, round 3 repeat, and then just keep going from there. Hey guys, it's been a long next day. Work's been crazy. It's been a busy day. And we're getting ready for a huge snowstorm. So that doesn't help either. So making sure everything around here is good and taken care of, just in case. But even with all that craziness going on, guess what? It's done. So I even weaved in my ends. And if you can see, look, I didn't run out of black. I only have this much left, but it didn't run out. So we didn't end up having to use the red, which is really cool. But let's go see how it looks. I do know it's probably going to need blocked. And so I'll probably end up steam blocking it. But let's go see how it looks right now. Okay, so as you can see, it's definitely going to need wet blocked or steam blocked, just to help with the curling. But I do love it. I love how it looks on my kitchen table too. It kind of perfectly fits in the middle. So yeah, so I will go ahead and steam block it and insert a picture with it finally being all done. So yeah, I'm so happy with how it turned out. It fits my table perfect, which is even better. And I think, you know, like I said, steam blocking it really is going to make it perfect. And I'm just happy with it. So I want to give a big thank you to anyone who's still here and has watched me get this first project out of the way. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe, like, and do all of those fun things. If you want to continue with the series, we'll be picking a new thing here soon and see what we get to do next. So thanks, you guys. I'll see you next time.